What's up, amazing people? So I'll be guiding you through content. We're doing HTML today. Just a recap of what we did in our previous class and things I think will be beneficial to you. So stick around. It is important for you. As I said, uh, this is your foundation. So please don't lag behind. Follow through the class. If you have any questions, you know where to reach me. Um, yeah, so cheers, guys. So, hi guys. I just want to teach you about something called table. Of course, you know what a table is, but this is what I want us to create at the end of this conversation. And the reason I'm doing this is to teach you how to write clean UI and something that is pleasing that will help you get a job out there. So, yeah, please stick by. I know this might take a long while, but if you follow and if you keep doing it, you will get it better at the end of our conversation. So if you refresh this, just an empty template for us to start by. So I will do a recap of what I did yesterday. So if I do that, of course, it will give me a clean template of HTML and CSS. Then we have a bigger container. Then we can say table goes goes here. So if you just go to this page and refresh, you see table goes here, but there is one problem. There is space around here, but we didn't create that space. So to access that space, I will show you how to do that. Again, we talked about style, and then you said every styling goes in here. So there's something we did see yesterday. So if I do star and then I open the these curly braces and write something in it, it means apply this styling to every other container inside here. So to remove the spacing around, said is margin 0. So if you come and refresh, you find that there is nothing around it. And then to be safe, we also usually say as well padding 0. So that means if we refresh, you won't see anything because there wasn't spacing. It's just a precaution. Okay, so that is the first thing that we have changed. So the other thing that we also learned about a class. We said that's how you are able to access multiple things inside. So we just want to give this a class table container. You can name it however you want. I chose mine to name it this way because it is easy to remember, and if somebody is coming to read my code, they will actually understand what is happening. So to access a class, we said you add a dot before it, and then you name it whatever you want. So let me give it a background color of red. So this is just to show you what is happening. So you see that it takes full width but does not take the full height. So to do that, we fix by saying, let's say width first. We just give it a, even though it's taking full width, we just want to tell it usually take the full width. So what is happening here? We are saying for the width, take 100 of the view width. So the view width is the screen that is before you that you're using. So then for height, we just say 100 view height. So the difference is only W and H. So if we come back here and actually refresh, you realize that it has taken the full height of the screen. Now we can get rid of that color. So let's get back to this our design. So we realize that this table has how many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 columns and one table head. So this is what we're going to do. Instead of having table goes here, now let us create our action table. To create our action table, there's a container that is just called table. And then to create our table heading, there's another container inside table that is just called a table heading. It's just created that way by the people that are creating HTML and CSS. So if you come here, you have to realize that everything inside this table is inside one row. So we just say table row. Fine. That's how you create a row. And then we have said that there are 6 columns in this table. So what we do is we say th, then the name is this name. So what happens is when we go back to this page and actually refresh it, you see that there is a bold thing that just says name here. So we see the columns 6, 3, 6. So if we refresh this, you see that there is 6 of them. So the other one is client status deadline. So client, don't worry, client status deadline and category budget. Category budget. Awesome. Now if we just come and refresh, you see that there's 6 of them. Now you also see that there is multiple rows of the data. So now to create a data there is another container just called table body. What is like this is just what contains the other things. So in one row, so we just say in a table row we have the data. So the data is in table data. So like here, let's say we have Skyline Heights. Skyline Heights. So if you go back to our page now and refresh it, you realize inside here we have added one item. So to do this for the 6 columns, we do it like this. Awesome. If we refresh now, you see that there is something beneath each and everything here. It still looks ugly, looks nothing close to this, but let us keep progressing still. So here we have Cindy completed. So we have Cindy and here Sergey. Give my typing completed. Then for deadline we have yesterday into 6.7 million. So yesterday interior, let's just say 6.7. Here we are. Then we say this is dollars. So when you come and refresh and you notice that of course it has changed, it looks a little bit better but not completely okay. When you go back here you realize that our table has some spacing, so we want to give some spacing around our table. So we'll just come here and say padding of 10 pixels. So we go back here and refresh and just realize that there's some spacing around it. So one thing that we like to do is we can access the whole table, and then we say border collapse. There's something called border, not border color, collapse. So what happens is we're just saying if there's a border, we get rid of that border first. We do not want it at the moment. And then we can come and just say, let's just leave it like that for the time being. Then let's just come and say for the table head, we want padding of 4 pixels. And then for the table head, before this, sorry, I will show you what I've done. Let me just get rid of this table head. Let's just give it a background color of red to begin with. So if we refresh, if we realize that it has taken this part, it's just giving it a background color. That is not something new, that is something that we had already seen and talked about. So we want our table now to take the full width of the screen that is remaining. So we come and say width 100%. So you realize what is happening is it has now taken the full width of the remaining part of the screen. Okay, but for us, let's just give it a 90%. Just takes 90% and it's visible for us on the screen. Now there's something else I want to show you. If you go back to this table, realize that all the data that is starting from the leftmost side. So we can come and say text align left. So see what happens. Now you see table into head data starting at the center. Now we just moved it to start the leftmost side. Okay. If we also go back to this page, you will realize that there is some spacing inside each of these. So let's go back here and now access what I was saying, th and tl. So this is something that you have also not seen. There is a comma between this. So it says for the table heading and the table row, like I just want these stylings to be the same. Like don't change them. Okay. So I will come and say padding of 4 pixels. So observe what will happen. You realize that there is some space just around it, but I want more spacing on the leftmost side. So I'll come and say padding 4 pixels, that is on the top, and then 8 pixels. So top and bottom, give it a padding of 4 pixels, and then left and right, give it a padding of 8 pixels. So observe what happens. There's more space here than on top here. Okay, so I will just get rid of this background color and give it almost similar. Actually, there's no background color in this part. So let me get rid of that. And yes, let me get rid of that first. What else do we need here? Nothing. So here I will also come and say border, and then I will say 1 pixels, solid, gray. So you realize that there is now what do we call this border on these sides. Now I want to change it, the padding from being on the row to be on the table data. So observe what happened. You see before, there is no border on these places. But if you refresh now, there's border on each and every one of these. So at least we're making some good progress. Okay. So you also see that there is a checkbox input here. Then there are other items here. We might not do all of them, but please be keen. Yes. So if you are using Visual Studio Code, there's something called a color picker. So if I hover my mouse over this thing, I am able to choose which specific color I want. So if I put it there, I go back here, you realize that we have a border that looks almost similar to what we have here. Okay, let me get rid of this. It's just to show you what is happening. So inside here, there's place where there is name. Of course, that is where we have our, what do we call it, input box. So let me just do that. Then do something called a span. Span is something you have not yet seen. So a span is one of the smallest bits of a container. A span is a container that can go inside anywhere. So let's say you're having a button. It's not wise to have a div inside a button because a div is like the bigger container. But you can have a span inside a button. So I will still have the name here. Then I can come and say input type checkbox, then that's just it. We close it like that. So how now does it look like? You realize that there is something here, but if it were bigger, you will realize that there is a positioning problem. So this is how we do it. We just come and give it a class. So let's say the class is let's call it center line checkbox. Let's call it checkbox center. Of course, it might not make sense, but it's our name. We have chosen it. Checkbox. Yes. Select this. So we'll come now and say this. So be take keen interest on this one. So here we are going to give it center line. I want to show you how to display some, how to place things horizontally, vertically, and things. So yesterday I showed you nilikuonyesha how we do flex column. I want now to show you how we do flex row. So we come and say display flex direction. Of course, it's a row. Then taking interest on this, I say align items center. So observe what happens. So you see that they are now positioned very well center aligned. Then you can give it a gap of 4 pixels. So observe what happens. We've just spaced them, what do you call, inside on the x-axis, we have added a space that is a gap of 4 pixels. Let me make it bigger, give it 8 pixels. Yeah, so that's it. We have something like that looks like that. So now I just want us to copy this and implement it. Here we have skyline heights, and instead of a name, let's see skyline heights. Yes, so you see now our table is beginning to look exactly like what we have on the screen. Okay, so now apart from this, we're going to have table head, and then we're just going to say font weight, something like 200. So you wait and see what happens. So now we have gotten rid of the bold that was there, but we want it to look exactly like this. So we also see that this has a different, slightly different color. So we can just come and say color gray, and then inside gray we're just going to select a color that looks almost similar to that. Later I will show you how to pick the accurate color, but for now let's stick to this. This is a little bit too light, so let's go back here and select this. So now how does it look like? It looks actually a little bit better, almost similar to what we have. So we go back here and now you realize that inside table data there is more spacing than the spacing that we have inside the table row. So let's come back here. Let's have a table data. Then although it had spacing up here, we can give it a little bit different spacing. We can just say the spacing on the top and bottom is 8 pixels. So let's just give it 8 pixels all around. So you realize that now it looks a little bit different. Okay. You also realize that this is a slightly different font. So how to change font is we come here. I want to change the font of the whole thing. So we come and say font family, and then you can choose whatever of this interests you. So let me pick one that I have never tried, and then refresh, and you see it actually looks a little bit different and actually interesting. I actually like this font, and I'll be using it so many times. Yes, what else? For us, instead of having it open on the sides, let's give it around it. I actually love them around it. So we come and say for the table border radius 2 pixels. Let's do 12 so that we can see what is happening. Now that doesn't do anything over there. We'll figure out how that goes. So now to make our thing look more appealing, let's do this a couple of times. and refresh, and you actually see that we have a table that looks almost similar to that one. Now, the last thing that I want to show you here is how to place something uh, in the center, both vertically and horizontally. So I have a very simple solution to this. I'll come to the table container. The one that we have said is taking the full height and width. So we'll say display flex. So now it means everything will be in a row. So it has added some spacing that we didn't want, but okay. I will come here and say height with content. So what I'm saying is, I'm saying don't expand the height of the table to fill the parent container. Just let it remain as it should be. So you see that now it goes back to its normal height. So going back to the parent container, that is the table container, we can say flex direction, of course, is row. Then we say align items center. So observe to see what happens now. Now you see that it has moved to the center vertically higher. Now I'll come and say justify content center. Observe now what happens. So it has moved now horizontally to the center. So that's how you can place something horizontally. Then you realize that for them, the table is on the top starting, so not at the center. So at least now you understand and you can see how we have moved it to the center vertically. We said align item center. So if they center, it means they either start. So if you do start, this is what happens. Sorry, I refreshed the wrong page. It will go to the top of the page and start from there. So yes, that is how you create a clean table inside using HTML and CSS. Yes, the other simple things I can show you is we can just add these little things, these little icons. Let me see if there is a place that we can actually just borrow this. Hero icons, and then let's just say shop. What was this? Yeah, this is just a shop. So let's come and copy as SVG, then come here. So yeah, forgive me kidogo, I'll copy this. So that was saying client, copy SVG. Instead of now the input checkbox, I'll replace with the SVG that we have copied. Then this is client. So observe what happens now. You see, it's too big. We want to give it a good height and a good. So how do we do that? You can also give it a class. So we can come here and say class 4. Doesn't change that. Sorry. So stroke width 0.4. So that is this border. See, that has changed, but the size has not changed. So let's just replace this with the height. So let's give it a class icon. So let's come here and say that icon height is 10 pixels and width is 10 pixels. So it has changed, but it has become too small. 70 pixels and 70 pixels. 70 is big, so let's do 40 and 40. 40 is also too big, let's do 20 and 20. 20 is manageable. Then the thing that is making it too small is the stroke. Let's give it a stroke of 0.8 and instead 1.0. Then let's just reduce instead of 20, let's say 18 actually, and 18 pixels. Awesome. So that now actually looks amazing. So I will just copy this and paste it in the other place. So here we have status. Here we have deadline. Here we have category. Then here we have budget. Awesome. So we refresh and you see it has replaced these things, but we want to use the accurate icons. So this for status, we can say bold for status. That is the thing that they are using. So we just give it a stroke. That and to push it, then save to do that. And then for this we say it's an icon. What else do we have? Calendar. So we have calendar. Let's copy this. Deadline is the calendar. Then save to change it. 1.0. This is icon. And then we said here is a box and dollar. So let's do dollar first because that is easier to access. Budget. Control save to format it. Control S. 1.0. So let's just leave it with what we have already. So the reason I've done that is just to show you that writing vanilla HTML and CSS does not have to be boring. You can make a table look very appealing and actually interesting. So let me try and actually, we have the table heading, we have the border here. No, those are things I will change later, but at least you now see and have a feel of the things and the unimaginable things that you can actually do with HTML and CSS. So I will forward the things that I said in the previous class. So please just read ahead, try to understand what is happening. Just get multiple things, get to understand different things. We will work on this table as we proceed with HTML, CSS, JavaScript forward, but this was just to show you what you're capable of doing, even with the simplest of the skill. So yeah, cheers guys.